What do you make of this defensive performance? Is it a product of the team that the Texans were playing, or do you think that this defense is getting geared up to be that defense that it needs to be for a postseason run?
Simply, I think it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a picture of their leader. You know what I mean? They are going as DeMeco Ryans is going, and I mean, he is just making them believe in themselves. He's coaching them up. You look at some of the guys that come in. Jimmy Ward went down like on the third play, and all they did was bring another guy in and lock up. You know, I mean, this had no. They're missing so many players. They're missing Cashman, you know, who's been so good, one of the leading tacklers on the team. Grenard was on an island by himself because on the other side of the football, his Robin to his Batman or Batman to his Robin was out. So you start looking at these things and it's just like, it's unbelievable. And they potentially got better. They claimed, did you hear about the waiver claim they made?
They made, it was Tart, right? From the
Tierra Tart. Yeah. So defensive tackle, position need. I think that's great. You know what I mean? This guy was a freak athlete for the Titans, you know, stud for a little bit, and then supposedly was unmotivated, gets cut. So who better to motivate him than DeMeco Ryans? Everybody they picked up off the street has been good. Des King was on the couch.
I would argue Myjai Sanders, I believe I said that right, who stepped in and played a lot of the snaps that Will Anderson would have played. I didn't think he did bad. He occupied space, but he was not getting around or getting in there, getting much done from what I saw. But no, for the most part, yeah, all the players they pick up off the street, they're elevated. I mean, Derek Barnett on the flip side of that had a sack. You know, John Grenard is sixth on the all-time list for Texans sacks, or sorry, fifth. Yeah. JJ Watt has 3 of those, and one of them is like Mario Williams for seasons as a sack, you know, getter for the Texans. So incredible to see. That begs the question: how do you think DeMeco Ryans' Coach of the Year case is looking right now?
Man, there's some really good coaches out there, and I hate that for him because in any other season, it's like runaway. But when you look what Dan Campbell's doing in Detroit and how bad that team's been for however many decades, like they're going to win that division, which they never win. It's going to be tough. He's like right there. Like I think Vegas has him as like the third best odds. It's like Campbell, and then I think it's who's the other one? I think it's the coach for the Eagles. I think.
Geez. As soon as you said it, I immediately lost track of what his name is.
And then it's DeMeco, and then Shane Steichen, and then somebody else.
Steichen's made a great case, and that's the reason why the last game of the season could very well be the Texans playing to be in the playoffs. Like that could very well be the case. So
I hope you're wrong, but it could
I hope so too. I'd hate to go to Indianapolis, a place where the Texans have historically played awful, and try and play what should be an awful Indianapolis team and try and get the win. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're talking about Texans Titans right now. No, I think the difference for me is that Dan Campbell last year, he took steps to get his team ready, and DeMeco Ryans came in, granted with a lot better, whether people wanted to admit it or not, the draft position, the capital, everything that was going on when he took over the Texans was in his favor. But DeMeco has taken a team that was projected to win 5.5 games. DeMeco has in one season turned a team that was the second worst in the league to a potential playoff. I think if the Texans make the playoffs, DeMeco has a stronger case than Dan Campbell based off of circumstance. But I think Dan Campbell's been kind of set up to win that award for so long that this is his payout year. So it's just, like you said, it's bad timing. I think that any other year, DeMeco Ryans clearly wins Coach of the Year. But like I said, were we really concerned about that, or do we want to go out in there and win some playoff games? Let's get to the playoffs first.
DeMeco would tell you that he could care less about those awards. CJ 100%. Would tell you that he could care less about those awards. Like they just want to get better every day. And I believe that if it's not this year, it'll be next year or the year after that. I can't see this team really regressing because you're just adding more talent around incredible talent already. And they're going to have tons of money to spend. So like, Tee Higgins is a free agent out there. If you needed a one and you watched Cincinnati play this past week, Tee Higgins could be that dude.
I would venture to say, and this is the last thing I'll say before we try and kind of bring it to a close, but Tee Higgins, love him. I've had him in Dynasty Fantasy for a while, but with his injury history and with the ease that he's had to play the position relative to having Jamar Chase on his team, I'm not fully sold on him as a wide receiver one. I do think he'd be great for the Texans, just as a complement with, Nico being a 1A, 1B kind of thing going on there, because he'd have that draw from the other side to kind of help him out. Or maybe on another team that has, or I don't know. If he got sent and packed up and sent to the Chiefs, I don't know how that goes with him being the only guy. Like, I don't know. Pat Mahomes is throwing to garbage cans at this point, though. So
I like that kid, Rashee Rice. I think he's going to be good.
I think he has potential. But like Kadarius Toney, like I don't. There's Travis Kelce's fallen off a little bit. I think he can still recover. I think he's just having a bad stretch, but I don't know, man. I thank God that the Texans wide receiver room is a lot better than people thought it was going to be, that the potential panned out, because that's what it was. It went from potential to like a kinetic wide receiver room for all my science nerds out there.